It only takes 1 second for life to split into a before and an after.
Before we begin, if stories like this move you, take a moment to like and subscribe. Your support helps this channel grow and allows us to keep bringing you powerful survival journeys and unforgettable stories from the very edge of human endurance. Now, take a breath and let's step into the storm.
The storm came out of nowhere. Rain hammered against the windshield as if trying to break through. The wind howled across the empty highway, shaking Ali's car as he drove carefully toward home. Visibility dropped. The road blurred. Then it happened. The tires lost grip. The steering wheel jerked violently in his hands. The car skidded sideways, metal screaming against wet asphalt before crashing through the weak roadside barrier. For a brief, suspended moment, everything went silent. Then gravity took over. The car tumbled down the slope into darkness. When Ali opened his eyes, the storm had faded into a distant rumble. His ears rang. The windshield was shattered. The engine was dead. Pain shot through his leg when he tried to move. He was alive, but barely. His phone screen flickered. No signal. No headlights above. No voices. Just trees and endless silence. He forced himself to breathe slowly. "Panicking won't save you," he muttered. "Think." The car door was jammed. It took all his strength to push it open. Rainwater dripped from broken branches. The forest around him felt ancient, indifferent. He tested his leg, injured but not broken. The storm clouds slowly drifted away, revealing a faint gray sky. Dawn was coming. Ali leaned against the wreckage, shivering. Somewhere far beyond the trees was the road. And somewhere beyond that, people searching. But would they search long enough? As the sun's first weak light touched the forest floor, Ali realized something terrifying. No one knew exactly where he had gone, and the forest was bigger than he ever imagined. He took a step forward. What he didn't know yet was that the real fight hadn't even begun. Survival doesn't begin with courage, it begins with water. By mid-morning, thirst clawed at Ali's throat. His lips were dry. His leg throbbed with every step, but staying near the wreckage felt wrong. If rescuers came, they might not see him through the dense canopy. He needed strength, and strength required water. He paused, closing his eyes, listening carefully. At first, there was only wind brushing leaves. Then, faintly, a trickling sound. It could have been imagination or salvation. He followed the sound slowly, marking trees with small scratches from a sharp piece of metal he'd pulled from the car. If he got lost, he'd need a way back. The sound grew clearer. A narrow stream emerged between rocks, clear and moving. Relief flooded him. He knelt carefully and cupped the water in his hands. It was cold, shockingly cold, but refreshing beyond words. Energy returned, just slightly. Hunger soon followed. He spotted small wild berries nearby, red, shiny, tempting, but he hesitated. He remembered a documentary. Bright colors often meant danger. He couldn't afford poisoning, not here. So he stepped back. Water would be enough for now. As evening approached, the temperature began to drop. Shadows stretched longer between the trees. The forest changed tone, less silent, more watchful. Ali limped back toward the wreckage, following his marks. Halfway there, he froze. His marks were gone. The bark he had scratched looked untouched. His heart pounded. Had he turned the wrong direction, or had he underestimated just how easy it was to disappear? The sun dipped lower, and for the first time, Ali felt something worse than fear. He felt small, and night was coming fast. Night in the wilderness doesn't whisper,
It warns. Cold crept in first, then unfamiliar sounds, branches snapping, distant howls, leaves shifting without wind. Ali sat near a cluster of rocks, trying to steady his breathing. He needed warmth and protection. He gathered dry twigs and bark from beneath thick trees where the rain hadn't soaked everything. Using a broken mirror shard and fading sunlight had failed earlier. Now he tried friction, rubbing dry wood against wood over and over. His hands blistered. Hours passed. Nothing. Frustration rose. Exhaustion tempted him to quit. Then he remembered his father's voice from childhood camping trips. Fire is patience. Ali adjusted his grip, focused his movements, and tried again. A spark. Tiny. Fragile. He shielded it with shaking hands, feeding thin strands of bark. Flame. Small, but alive. Warmth spread across his face. The orange glow pushed back the darkness just enough to make the forest feel less threatening. He let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. When there's breath, there's hope. The fire crackled steadily. For the first time since the crash, Ali allowed himself to think of home. His mother's tea, his younger sister's laughter. They would notice he hadn't arrived. They would call. They would search. Right? A sudden rustling sound snapped him back to reality. Not wind. Closer. Deliberate. Ali grabbed a burning branch, heart racing. Two faint glowing eyes appeared beyond the firelight. Watching. Waiting. Ali tightened his grip on the torch, because if he survived the storm, he might still have to survive the night. By morning, the eyes were gone, but the fear remained. Ali knew he couldn't rely on chance. Waiting passively would only weaken him. Rescue depended on visibility. He needed a signal. The sky was clearer now. If search teams were looking, they would likely scan from above. He climbed a slight incline nearby and discovered a small clearing partially visible through the canopy. Perfect. He gathered dry leaves and green branches separately. Green would create thick smoke. Dry would ignite quickly. His injured leg protested with every movement, but urgency overpowered pain. Before lighting anything, he paused. What if no one was searching? Doubt slipped in quietly. He crushed it. They will, he said firmly. He lit the dry pile first. Flame caught quickly. Then he added the green branches. Thick gray smoke rose upward. He stepped back, waving a large broken piece of metal to fan it higher. Minutes passed. Nothing. Then, a distant chopping sound. Helicopter blades. His heart leapt. Through the narrow opening in the trees, he saw it, a small rescue helicopter scanning the forest. It was farther than he hoped. "Here!" he shouted, though he knew they couldn't hear him. The helicopter moved across the horizon. Past him. Ali's stomach dropped. No, no. He threw more branches into the fire, smoke billowing stronger. The helicopter disappeared beyond the ridge. Silence returned. Ali sank to his knees, staring at the thinning smoke. Hope was so close, so painfully close. But just as despair began to take hold, the sound returned. Faint first, then louder. The helicopter was turning back, but this time it wasn't alone. The helicopter circled lower now. Ali jumped up, waving both arms frantically. Smoke poured upward in thick columns. The helicopter hovered briefly. Then something unexpected happened. The wind shifted violently. A sudden gust scattered the smoke sideways, breaking the column into useless fragments. Leaves and ash spiraled into the air. Visibility dropped again. No, no! The helicopter hesitated. It began to rise. Ali's pulse pounded in his ears. Thinking quickly, he grabbed a piece of reflective metal from the wreckage he had carried earlier. Climbing onto a large rock, despite the pain in his leg, he angled it toward the sun. Light flashed, once, twice, 3 times. The helicopter paused mid-air. Ali adjusted the angle carefully, sending repeated flashes toward the cockpit. Seconds stretched endlessly. Then, the helicopter tilted, slightly, directly toward him. It had seen. But landing wasn't easy. The forest was too dense. The helicopter circled again, then flew off toward the ridge. Fear gripped him. Had they lost sight again? Was this another false hope? Minutes later, a new sound emerged from deeper in the forest. Not blades, voices, and snapping branches. A ground rescue team. They had marked his coordinates. Ali felt his strength draining now that adrenaline was fading. He leaned against the rock, breathing heavily. The voices grew closer. "Over here!" Boots crunched against leaves.
Orange uniforms appeared between the trees, and as they rushed toward him, Ali realized something strange. He wasn't just fighting to survive anymore. He had already won. Rescue doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like ordinary people refusing to give up. The team reached him quickly, assessing his injuries, wrapping his leg, offering water. One rescuer placed a steady hand on his shoulder. "You did well," he said. Ali managed a weak smile. As they lifted him onto a stretcher, he glanced at the forest around him. The same trees that had felt like prison walls now looked almost peaceful. He noticed something that made him pause. Far in the distance, near the slope where his car had crashed, a small piece of torn fabric fluttered from a branch. His jacket. He must have torn it during the fall. The team leader followed his gaze. "That helped," she said. "We spotted fabric from the air yesterday, but lost track in the storm. Today we came back to recheck the grid." Yesterday. They had been searching since the first night. He hadn't been alone after all. Tears filled his eyes, not from pain, but from overwhelming relief. As they carried him toward the clearing where the helicopter would lift him out, Ali whispered to himself, "When there's breath, there's hope." But now he understood something deeper. Hope wasn't just something inside him. It was also out there, in people who refused to stop looking. As the helicopter lifted above the forest canopy, the trees grew smaller beneath him. The place that nearly took his life now looked silent and distant. 3 days, 3 nights, 1 storm, 1 choice not to give up, and 1 final truth. The darkest moments don't last forever, but the strength you discover inside them does.